Welcome back to Deep Dive on the Starseed Films YouTube channel. We're so glad you've joined us again, and if this is your first time here, welcome to the journey. Deep Dive is where we unpack the wisdom of the world's greatest spiritual minds, from the mystics of the East to the metaphysical pioneers of the West. Each episode, we take a powerful book or material and distill it down to its golden essence. So you don't just read it, you receive it.
Yeah, think of it as a spiritual download of deep universal truths into clear, grounded insights you can use right now. This is where the timeless meets the now. Let's dive in. Today we're diving into a truly extraordinary life. Imagine someone who could heal, offer deep wisdom, even tap into forgotten histories, all while asleep. We're talking about the incredible Edgar Cayce, often called the sleeping prophet. Our guide today is Thomas Sugar's classic biography, There Is a River, and we're also drawing insights from Mitch Horowitz's preface. These really give us a deep look into Cayce's unique abilities and the whole philosophical system that came out of his readings. So our mission here is to unpack the most surprising stuff, trace his journey from, a Kentucky farm to this national figure, and really grasp the ideas behind his work.
Absolutely. And what's so fascinating reading these sources is it's not just about the strange abilities, it's also this very human story of him trying to square these experiences with his own deep faith.
Yeah.
That was a real struggle for him, which the book details really well.
Yeah, that comes through strongly. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Christian County, Kentucky. Rural roots. And interestingly, there might have been something in the family. His great-grandfather, Thomas Jefferson Cayce, he was known for things like dowsing, finding water, and second sight.
Right, though apparently he didn't make a big deal of it. The source says never made a show of it, but it does hint at maybe some kind of predisposition,
Definitely plants a seed. And young Edgar himself was incredibly devout, reading the Bible cover to cover 3 times by age, 11 or 12?
Yeah, and 56 times in his whole life. That's serious dedication.
It really is. And he had this vision, didn't he, where a figure told him his prayers to help people, especially sick children, had been heard. That desire to help was there from the very start.
It seems so, and this deep Christian belief becomes, a central point later on. Because how does that fit with the, let's say, unusual abilities that start showing up? The sources really dig into his personal struggle with that. It wasn't an easy reconciliation for him.
No, you can imagine. But okay, before the famous medical stuff, there was this other really bizarre ability, the sleep learning. I mean, can you imagine struggling with spelling so you just sleep on the book?
And wake up knowing it perfectly.
Exactly. His dad, Squire Cayce, was skeptical. Naturally.
Wouldn't you be?
Totally. But then Edgar memorized this incredibly long political speech overnight just by sleeping on it. That apparently convinced his father.
It's pretty wild. And looking back, you can see how that ability to access information, not conscious.
Yeah.
It feels like a precursor, doesn't it? Like his mind was already working in these non-ordinary ways, tapping into something beyond normal awareness.
Yeah, a sign of things to come. Okay, so the big turning point comes later. He's in Elkton, Kentucky, takes some kind of sedative, overdoses slightly, and loses his voice completely.
And regular doctors, no help at all.
Right, which leads him, kind of out of desperation, to this guy, Al C. Lane, who was a hypnotist, but also an osteopath via correspondence course. Definitely not your standard physician.
An unconventional route for sure.
So Lane suggests hypnosis, maybe to access the subconscious issue. Cayce puts himself into a trance. And suddenly, his voice comes back, clear as day, while he's in the trance. And not only that, he starts diagnosing his own throat problem and saying what needs to be done.
That's the moment, isn't it? The birth of the medical readings.
Yeah.
Almost accidental, born from his own crisis.
Yeah.
And facilitated by someone outside the medical establishment. It really highlights how practical this gift was from the start. It was about fixing a problem.
And the things he could do in that state? Some of the cases are just mind-bending, like the oil of smoke incident.
Oh yeah, tell that one.
Okay, so he's in a trance, reading for a boy with this really stubborn leg sore. He prescribed something called oil of smoke.
Which sounds obscure.
Totally obscure. Local druggists have never heard of it, can't find it anywhere.
Right.
So they do another reading. And Cayce, still in trance, describes exactly where to find it. Specific shelf, specific drugstore in Louisville. And they go there, and boom, there it is. An old dusty bottle from some company that wasn't even around anymore, found purely based on the trance information.
It's those kinds of specifics that are just hard to explain away easily. Verifiable details coming from seemingly nowhere.
Exactly. Or the Dietrich child case. Severe neurological problems, doctors baffled.
Uh-huh.
Cayce's readings guided Lane's osteopathic treatments, and the source says the child's mind just started clearing up, picking up just where it had left off 3 years before. Imagine that.
Incredible relief for the family, you'd think. But it raises the question, why wasn't the medical establishment banging down his door? Well, the sources point to the general suspicion around hypnotism back then, clairvoyance. Lots of concern about fakes, mental instability.
Plus, Cayce himself was wrestling with it, right? This constant internal debate. Is this from God? Is it something else?
Absolutely. That struggle was profound for him. A devout man dealing with something way outside the bounds of his understanding of faith.
Even his wife, Gertrude, was worried. The source mentions her saying, "I wish he'd stop," fearing for his health.
Yeah, the strain must have been immense.
But Cayce seemed to hold on to this idea. If it's a thing of God, it will do only good. If it's a thing of the devil, it won't succeed. Like the positive results were his proof.
That conviction seems to have carried him through. It was his anchor in these very strange waters.
Okay, so he's doing these medical readings, gaining some notoriety, but then things take another massive shift. Enter Arthur Lammers.
Ah, Lammers, the businessman interested in theosophy and occult knowledge.
Right, and Lammers wasn't just interested in physical healing. He saw Cayce's ability as, like, a key to unlocking deeper mysteries. He started pushing Cayce in trance. What about the soul? What happens after we die? What's the point of life? Big questions.
Huge questions, and this is where the life readings start.
And they bring in all this, well, frankly, esoteric stuff. Astrology, karma, reincarnation, lost continents like Atlantis, Lemuria.
Which, as you can imagine, was pretty jarring for Cayce's conscious Christian mind. The source says he'd literally wince when told what he'd said while asleep.
I bet. It seems so far removed from his background.
But Lammers saw it differently. He thought Cayce was tapping into ageless wisdom. He saw connections to all these ancient traditions, Hermetic, Pythagorean, Jewish, Christian, even Tibetan or Egyptian ideas. Lammers provided this kind of grand synthesizing framework that Cayce himself hadn't consciously considered before.
And what emerged from those readings was this incredibly detailed philosophical system, sort of like a Christianized take on ancient mystery religions.
That's a good way to put it. Christ was always central, at the apex, as the reading said, but it wove in the soul's journey, free will, karma, cause and effect, and reincarnation as core parts of the human experience.
A whole cosmology, really.
Pretty much. Which then begs the question, how did Cayce, the devout Christian, make peace with concepts like reincarnation?
Yeah, how did that work?
Well, according to the sources, the readings themselves offered explanations. They suggested reincarnation was maybe part of early Christianity, like with the Gnostics, or could be found subtly in the Bible if you look differently.
So the readings kind of provided their own justification, helping him integrate it.
It seems that way. It allowed him to hold both his faith and these new, complex ideas together.
And this whole expansion, this philosophical dimension, directly led to creating the Association for Research and Enlightenment, the A.R.E.
Right, in Virginia Beach, a location the readings apparently also picked.
The goal for the A.R.E. initially was ambitious. They wanted to study the readings scientifically, even set up a hospital.
Yeah, the hospital was a big part of the vision. Dr. William Moseley Brown saw it as this pioneering place, bringing together religion, science, philosophy, psychology, ancient wisdom, modern knowledge.
All focused on healing the whole person.
Exactly. An integrated approach, physical, mental, spiritual, which was pretty radical thinking for that time, long before holistic health became a buzzword.
Really ahead of its time. But despite some amazing successes, like his own son, Cayce.
Oh, the eye injury story.
Yeah, horrific burns from flash powder. Doctors were pessimistic. A Cayce reading prescribed tannic acid.
Which the doctors initially dismissed, right?
He did, but they tried it, and it worked. Saved his sight. Incredible.
Wow.
But even with stories like that, the hospital struggled. Money problems, the Great Depression didn't help, some internal disputes.
And eventually it closed. A huge disappointment for Cayce, you have to imagine.
Must have been crushing. And he faced other battles, too, like getting arrested for practicing medicine without a license.
Right, the legal challenges. Though he was eventually paroled, the source notes the law seemed a bit reluctant to prosecute him fully. Maybe the sheer volume of positive testimonials made it complicated.
Perhaps. It just highlights that constant friction, doesn't it? This unconventional knowledge pushing against established systems.
It really does. Introducing anything truly new, especially something this far out, always faces resistance. It's the classic paradigm shift struggle.
But the A.R.E. adapted. They shifted focus back to research, study groups, preserving the massive archive of readings.
And Case just kept going, giving readings twice a day. Apparently, he often felt better, more refreshed after giving a reading.
Which reinforced his belief that it was a genuine talent, not some illness or trick. It energized him.
Seemed so, until the demand just became overwhelming. Towards the end, he was doing so many, what was it, over 1,300 in 1 year?
Yeah, 1,385. The sheer volume finally took its toll. He collapsed.
And the reading he gave for himself, quite stark.
Just said, until he is well or dead. He passed away not long after, in January 1945.
A really poignant end.
So reflecting on all this, what's the takeaway for you listening to this journey? Case's life feels like this powerful story about intuition, about the deep-seated drive to heal, and about trying to bring together different ways of knowing. Science, faith, ancient wisdom. He was this strange bridge between them.
I think so, too. And his journey, from this simple farm kid wrestling with unimaginable gifts right up to grappling with these huge philosophical ideas, it really makes you wonder about the limits of our own understanding. It kind of pushes us to ask, where does real insight come from? Could there be knowledge accessible in ways we don't normally consider?
Yeah, and it definitely suggests healing and insight can pop up in unexpected ways. If we're open to it, if we're willing to question our assumptions sometimes. It's amazing how one person, just wanting to be helpful, accidentally stumbled into this river of information. So here's something to chew on as we wrap up. If Edgar Cayce could access this deep well of insight, ancient knowledge, subconscious healing potential just by shifting his state of consciousness, what untapped potential might lie dormant within each of us? Not just for healing, maybe, but for understanding ourselves and the world on a much deeper level. What could we access if we knew how?
That's definitely something to think about.